faith that sees the invisible. St. Francis de Sales on great faith. My dear brothers and sisters, how often do we treat faith like fine silverware, something to take out only on special occasions? Or maybe we think of it as a list of statements we recite in the creed, something we believe but that doesn't really shape our day. Francis de Sales challenges this narrow view. For him, faith is not a relic, it's the pulse of our Christian life. It is alive, dynamic, and demanding. It influences every thought, every action, and every relationship. Faith, says St. Francis de Sales, is not simply believing about God. It is believing God Himself, accepting His word, trusting His heart, and allowing His truth to shape our lives. Through faith, we enter God's own mystery, becoming His adopted children. Faith then is not an accessory, it is a complete change of direction for the entire soul. The first point for reflection today, the beautiful adherence of the soul. For St. Francis de Sales, faith is an adherence, the loving clinging of our intellect and will to God's revealed truths. The intellect, drawn by the beauty of divine truth, sees that these mysteries are not only true but beautifully true. And beauty, as St. Francis de Sales reminds us, is never without truth, and truth never without beauty. Once the intellect sees this beauty, the will loves it, and love leads to surrender. That's why the saints could leave everything behind. Their hearts were captivated by the beauty of divine truth. Faith, then, is not a cold act of agreement. It's a passionate act of love. We believe not only because something is true, but because it is good and beautiful to believe it. The second point for reflection today, from dead belief to living power. Not all faith is alive. All Christians believe the same truths, but the quality of faith differs. When Jesus praised the Canaanite woman, He said, "Woman, you have great faith." Not because she believed more truths, but because her faith was more excellent, more alive, more loving, more persevering. The secret to that excellence, says St. Francis de Sales, is charity. Faith without charity is dead. Faith with charity is alive. Dead faith believes but does not love. It knows the creed but does not live it. Dying faith still has some love, but it bears fruit rarely and weakly. Living faith is united with charity. It acts, it loves, it perseveres, it bears fruit in every season. When charity joins faith, says St. Francis de Sales, she becomes a queen, and all other virtues obey her. Faith becomes radiant, fruitful, and strong. That is the faith that moves mountains. Third point for reflection today, the armor of vigilance and prudence. Great faith is not sleepy, it is vigilant. The opposite of great faith is not unbelief, it is drowsiness. The drowsy Christian believes, yes, but barely sees or understands anything. Their faith is hazy, unfocused, easily distracted. Vigilant faith, on the other hand, is sharp, alert, and active. It guards the heart and nourishes good works. It is armored with the virtues, especially prudence. For St. Francis de Sales, prudence in faith means always seeking to know and live the truth more deeply, not settling for the minimum. The spiritually lazy soul asks, "What must I do not to be lost. The vigilant soul asks, what more can I do to love God better? True prudence in faith never bargains with God. It seeks Him not for reward but for love. It doesn't serve like a hired worker. It serves like a friend eager to please the beloved. That is the armor of great faith, vigilance joined with prudence. The fourth point for reflection today, attentiveness, the highest perfection of faith. St. Francis de Sales points to one powerful example, the Canaanite woman who would not give up. Her daughter was tormented, but her faith made her unstoppable. She was attentive, says St. Francis de Sales, like a watchful dog ready to seize its prey. Even when Jesus seemed to ignore or reject her, she stayed focused on Him. Why do we profit so little from prayer or sermons? Because our faith is not attentive. Attention is the soul of prayer. To pray with attention is to have a living, vigilant faith. The Canaanite woman's faith was marked by four shining virtues. 1. Confidence. She believed that a single word from Jesus could heal her daughter. She never doubted His power or His mercy. Lack of confidence, especially in hard times, is the mark of little faith. Secondly, perseverance. When Jesus was silent, she did not give up. She kept crying out. God sometimes hides His face not to discourage us, but to draw us closer. Thirdly, patience. Even when Jesus seemed to rebuke her, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. She did not grow angry or sad. Fourthly, humility. Instead, she turned His words into prayer. Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from their master's table. She accepted her lowliness and still hoped in His mercy. That humility conquered the heart of Christ. Because of this faith, Jesus said, "Woman, great is your faith. Let your wish be granted." The fifth point for reflection today, living faith, the path to peace. St. Francis de Sales teaches that great faith is living, vigilant, prudent, and attentive. It is strong because it rests on charity. It is peaceful because it trusts in providence. He tells us not to be troubled by our faults or slow progress. Always rise bravely after a fall. He says, begin again, always with confidence, always with love. Faith does not mean perfection. It means trust. It means living our duties with courage, uniting small acts of love to the will of God, and believing that His grace is enough. To conclude, let us then awaken our faith through love and action. Let us imitate the Canaanite woman, confident, humble, patient, and persevering, crying out daily, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me." If we do this, one day we too will hear those beautiful words, "Let your wish be granted." And then our faith, tested, purified, and triumphant, will become sight in the eternal light of God. Live Jesus.